Here in the Middle East, CENTCOM is announcing the crash of an American Air Force refueling plane. Now, we are showing you video of what that model of plane looks like. The incident happening in western Iraq, and we're just getting some new information in on that crash. I just want to start here with the breaking news because you're getting more details on this crash. This KC-135 refueling aircraft missing. CENTCOM says it went down over western Iraq. What are you learning?
Yeah, to be clear, CENTCOM says that there was no hostile or friendly fire involved in this incident, but our Pentagon team understand from a US official that the second aircraft was also a KC-135 refueling aircraft and that at least 5 crew members were on board the one that crashed. Now, search and rescue operations are underway. The aircraft is technically missing at this point, and I think there were lots of questions asked as to exactly how these 2 refueling aircraft, who can often operate in cells in the sky, got into this particular incident. Now, the number of crew on board, 5 in the one that is indeed missing. You would normally expect 3 or 4 crew members to be on board a KC-135, perhaps 1 or 2 more for navigators, or alternatively that larger number might suggest it could have been a medical evacuation craft. All unclear at this moment, but still an urgent moment certainly, in which US rescue workers are desperately trying to locate these crew members. I think, Erin, you may, near your position there, close to Ben Gurion Airport in Israel, according to some of the open source data we've been seeing on flight monitors, one of those 2 KC-135s did a lot of circling near where you are, possibly dumping fuel, put out an emergency signal earlier on today. We understand that may well be connected to that particular incident, indeed be that second plane. But another, I think, stark reminder of the risks that US personnel endure every day, even though this incident appears to have been something of an accident. Early stage, early information at this point, though, Erin.
Yeah, well, obviously raising a lot of questions, as you say, why there were 2, why there may have been more people on board crew than usual. Was that medical related? What does that mean for obviously we don't know a lot about the injured and what is happening more broadly in this war.
So it's very interesting, Caitlin. You mentioned 2 Stratotankers. So these are 2 tanker aircraft flying together and one possibly refueling the other for further missions. So this is basically a gas tank, a flying gas tank that is used to refuel all the aircraft that are engaged in the operations in Iran, all the aircraft that are basically flying throughout the Middle East. So it could not only be U.S. aircraft that they are helping to refuel, but also allied aircraft. So these are very highly trained crews that basically what they do is they have a boom. The top aircraft has a boom that extends down to the bottom aircraft, and that bottom aircraft is the one that then receives the jet fuel, and then they have to maintain airspeed, the same airspeed when they do it. So it's a very intricate maneuver, and when that maneuver, for whatever reason, cannot be completed, they have certain procedures where they basically break away from the boom, and they basically have to then fly in opposite directions. So that's the kind of thing that may not have happened in this case, and it kind of begs the question as to why one aircraft would crash and the other one land. At first, when I heard this story, I thought there would be a tanker and a fighter aircraft involved, but it may be a different scenario in this case.
Well, and obviously, we're very concerned with the crew on board. We know it's about 5 people. Does this kind of aircraft have the ejection seats? Does it have parachutes? Anything like that we know of?
So the crews often do have parachutes in some of these aircraft, but it's very hard to get out of an aircraft like that. They don't have ejection seats like a fighter jet would have. So it's basically impossible. They, in essence, have to fly the airplane as best as they can. If there's a mechanical malfunction or some other in-flight emergency, they have to fly it in a way that provides as much safety safety as possible. But it's a very difficult thing to do, especially if there is a weather issue or if there was some kind of other issue with the opposite aircraft. So it's a very difficult situation, and it requires a great deal of training to become an operator in that aircraft, especially the boom operator, who's usually a very junior enlisted person or can be a junior enlisted person. And that would mean that these people have worked hard to do this, but they may not have all the experience that a more seasoned person would have. But we don't know yet who the members of the crew were and what the exact circumstances were.